Hello, mon ami. Je suis Baldomir, and this is HABSOLUTELY. That's right. We're here live in Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada, in the studios of 4680Q. HABSOLUTELY, Paul K. Lemire and John Louis Filion, who's not here this week, but he said, I was talking to him, and he said he will be in next week. So we're hoping he gets in here. He hasn't been in for a little while. There's some health issues plaguing his son, he said. So he may talk about that. He may not next week. But holy man, look at that jet coming in. Oh, it's low over there. Yeah, we got an airport just about a mile from here. So big jets that come in. Anyway, let's get on with HABSOLUTELY. All Habs, all show. Thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate it. We get a lot of comments from people, Vinny Hudon especially. And we'll be reading those. We'll be going to viewer comments and talking about all things Habs, a little bit of trivia, some opinion, and as we wind down, let's see, we got about three weeks to the end of the NHL season, the Stanley Cup playoffs, depending on when all these series end, and then we've got a bunch of benchmark dates that we got to watch. We're leading up to free agency, and then into the prospect opportunities, training camps, and everything else. We're not that far away from the season coming back. Maybe about 120 days or something. Yeah, something like that. You'll think it's a long way off, but I'm going to tell you the summer goes fast. And before you know it, we're back in September, training camp, exhibition games, and then the season start against. I haven't seen the schedule yet for the season for Montreal this year. I think it starts in the beginning of October against the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's tradition. We usually started with a game against Toronto Maple Leafs, and I wouldn't think that that's going to change this year. You never know, but I don't think it's going to change. We'll probably be facing the Leafs the very first game, and we'll give them a beating like we did last year. I love it. I love it. Okay, so let's give a second of airtime here to the Stanley Cup playoffs, where it looks like it's going to be a repeat of last year's Stanley Cup, with a possibility of the first Canadian team winning the Stanley Cup since our beloved Habs in 1993. That's right. We have on one side the Florida Panthers, who are going to dust off the Carolina Hurricanes. They should have beat them in 4, but that last game, especially the sweep, is one of the hardest ones to win, and the final elimination game of a series is tough to win. It's just really, really tough to put somebody away because all of a sudden their backs are against the wall and they're playing just a little bit harder than they would normally. And, you've got another life to live because you're like Florida was up 3-0 in the series. So a little bit tougher to win that game. But the cream rises to the top. Florida's going to rise to the top. And I believe Edmonton's going to beat Dallas now. Now, Dallas was my dark horse pick after the Habs were lost to Washington and got booted out of the playoffs. They were my dark horse team to go. I mean, one of the, not the favorite for sure. And they did a good job, but it looks like now Edmonton's got their number and they're going to move on. And if it is, it'll be the same final as last year, Edmonton and Florida. And I think this year, Edmonton is going to win. I think they're going to win. I think this year is going to be their year if they go against Florida again. We'll see. If Skinner continues to play in goal like he has been, they have a really, really good chance of winning. Okay, so I have to keep an eye on that. To be honest with you, though, I don't watch a lot of it because the Rocket are playing. That's right. There's still a lot happening in Habs land, and the Rocket are playing, and I'm watching them as they march towards the Calder Cup. We'll see what happens with them in the next few weeks. I'll talk more about that later. And speaking of Calder, that leads me to this week's Habs trivia. See how that flowed right in there? Just went right into the next subject. Okay, so mon ami. I'm counting on Lane Hutson to win the Calder Memorial Trophy for the Rookie of the Year. Not to be confused with the Calder Cup, which is awarded to the AHL team that wins the league. That's called the Calder Cup. Calder Memorial Trophy is given to the Rookie of the Year, the best player in the batch of rookies that played this year. And the number one guy, according to all metrics, I don't care what you use as metrics, is Lane Hudson. If he doesn't win, it's a travesty. A rookie defenseman that is breaking all records left and right and is proving he is a phenom, a once in a generation player. He really, really is. You got to think a 19-year-old kid comes into the NHL and dominates on defense. He's done it all this year. He's done it all for the Habs this year. Played every game of the season, had 66 points, ended up with a -2. And he played 22 minutes a game, probably at least 22 minutes a game. And he had the most points by a rookie, by the way. And the closest to him were Michkov. Take note, he could have been a Habs as well. Wouldn't that be something? And Celebrini, who had 63 points each, but were, get this, -18 and -31, respectively. Now, here's a defenseman who's on the ice 22 minutes a game, and he's -2. I mean, what a season. You have to face the fact this guy has got to win this Calder Cup. He should win by a landslide. Holy crap, there's that plane again. Is he ever low? He's got to win by a landslide. Got to win by a landslide. Now, okay, so, and we don't care about Wolf and Net. No, that doesn't matter. He's got to win by a landslide. Hudson all the way. Now, this leads me to my trivia question. Hudson's going to win this year, but who was the last Habs rookie to win the Calder Trophy for Rookie of the Year? Who was it? I mean, we've had a lot of great players on this team. Who was the last guy, though, that stood up and won it? And I'll give you 4 choices to give you some ideas here. Number 1, Stéphane Richer. Number 2, Saku Koivu. Number 3, Guy Lafleur. Number 4, Ken Dryden. And I got to say that every one of these guys did very good in their rookie year. There's no slouches here. They all did well. But which one of them won Rookie of the Year? That's the question. So, the 4 choices, once again, Stéphane Richer, Saku Koivu, Guy Lafleur, and Ken Dryden. What do you think, Vinny? You pause the tape? You shut off the tape? Which one do you think it was? Well, the correct answer is Ken Dryden. And if I asked you the year, some people would say 1971. And that would be incorrect. It was Ken Dryden, but in 1972. If you remember, Ken Dryden came up and was in the playoffs in 1971. But his full rookie season, his first rookie season, was in 1972. Of course, we all remember the exploits of Ken Dryden. I mean, it was unbelievable. He called up to the Habs and totally dominated the league in goal. It was unbelievable. The guy only played from 1971 to 1979. And remember, he took a year off in 72 to 70, the 73, 74 season, I believe, in a contract dispute with the Habs. He wasn't happy with the contract they offered him, especially after winning the Stanley Cup and Vezina Trophy. Excuse me. So he took the year off, finished his law degree. So he really only had 7 full seasons in the NHL. What a mark he made on the NHL. Only 7 full seasons, 7 full seasons. Now, His statistical percentages are unparalleled. His regular season totals gave him a 74.3% win rate, a 2.24 goals against average, 46 shutouts, and 258 wins and he only had 57 losses and he had 74 ties. In all, just in 397 NHL games. That's all he played. 397 games. That record is unbelievable. The Hockey News put him at number 25 on the all-time 100 greatest hockey players list. Unmatched for a player that had that short of a career. Add to the 5 Vezina trophies he won. Yeah, 7 years he won 5 Vezina trophies. He won the Conn Smythe Trophy in that very first 1971 playoffs. I mean, he stoned Boston. I remember that they were freaking out. He was killing them. They just couldn't score on the guy. He was phenomenal. 5 Stanley Cups in 7 years. And of course, the Rookie of the Year Calder Memorial Trophy in 1972. It's really unbelievable how one goaltender dominated in goal during his short 7 years in the NHL. Now, people say, hold it. He won the Calder in 71. And no, he won the Conn Smythe for the best player in the playoffs in 71. And he was. He stoned everybody. But his rookie year, actually, even though he won the Conn Smythe, his rookie year was 72, finishing third place in the East Division and qualifying for the playoffs after missing them the year before. The Habs inserted their new goaltender into the lineup. Ken Dryden went on to stone the Bruins, like I said, in the first round with Dryden making the Bruins crazy with his outstanding play. They just couldn't score on him. And of note, that was Jean Beliveau's last playoffs with the team. Yeah, that was the last time Jean Beliveau played for the Montreal Canadiens. As crazy as it seems, Ken Dryden in 1972 was our last Rookie of the Year, and that was 53 years ago. And it's mind-boggling to think that it's been 53 years since the Montreal Canadiens, the most storied franchise of all time, has had a Rookie of the Year. That's crazy. I would have never thought it was that long. When I was looking towards maybe the 93 year or the 90s or late 80s maybe or something, but no. Ken Dryden, 71. And you think all those years that we had, the teams won 4 Stanley Cups in a row in the late 70s. You think we would have had one rookie on those teams that would have done it, but those teams were so good, it was probably really hard for a rookie to get anywhere but a fourth line position if there was a rookie on the team at all. They were just that good. So there you go. Vinny, did you get it? He probably got it. Vinny knows a lot. He knows a lot. He probably got it. So we're going to move on now with viewer comments. We had 3 in there from Vinny. I had 4. 3 or 4 here, and one was from another listener. And at Vinny Houdon, Paul, you keep mentioning we have to get bigger, and then you say Habs should have drafted Mishkov. Habs drafted a 6'3", 210 defenseman, and you say Mishkov should have been picked. Do you realize Mishkov is 5'10"? Reinbacker will be huge in the future for the Habs on D. Please park the Mishkov love. There, it's off my chest. I got it off my chest, he says. Go Habs, go. Well, Vinny, all I can say is look at Mishkov's production this year. And imagine having Mishkov and Demidov on the team. That's all I can tell you. Now, okay, yeah. Mishkov's 5'10". He might play a little bit bigger. I really haven't watched a lot of his games yet. But at the end of the day, I will sacrifice size for pure talent. We can find big defensemen. They're out there. They're out there all the time. but you do not find talents like Mishkov. You got to remember, Mishkov was probably considered as good as Connor Bedard. I think he was in Connor Bedard's year. He was considered as good as Connor Bedard. The reason he wasn't chosen and it went to like pick number 7, I think, Philadelphia Flyers, was because of the situation in Russia and his 3-year contract with the KHL. Now, I said from the beginning they should take Mishkov, the Canadiens, anyway. Our plans were for 3 years down the road, and we could wait for this guy to get out of the KHL. But I also predicted he would be in the NHL because no matter what, money talks. Money talks at the end of the day. And the Flyers went over there, made a case, got him out of his contract, and he came to the Flyers this year. Also, the KHL was controlled by the Russian Hockey Federation. And the year that Mishkov was picked by Philadelphia, the end of that year, the beginning of the next year, they split from the Russian Hockey Federation, Russian Ice Hockey Federation. And they now can make their own decisions about what they're going to do with players. And Mishkov ended up coming over within a year to the Philadelphia Flyers. He played last season. He had 63 points. I mean, this kid is fantastic. And he had 63 points on a crap team. He was one of their top players in his first year in the NHL. And if it wasn't for a guy named Hudson, he may well have been in line for the Calder. So am I willing to give up a 6'3" defenseman, 210-pound defenseman who's not proven in the NHL? Remember, everybody's waiting for Ryan Backer to hit the NHL. He missed all of last year with an injury for Laval. He just came in back at the end. He's playing now. He's playing good, don't get me wrong. But we also saw Primo play good in the AHL and come up to the Habs. Now, he's going to be better than that. He was picked very high. But we can only presuppose how he's going to play in the NHL, how long it's going to take him to customize himself to the NHL, faster speed than that in defense. We don't know. We don't know this from him. But Mishkov came up and proved that he's NHL ready and he can play in the NHL. So we can presuppose about Ryan Bacher, but we don't know for sure. And Mishkov had a great season, and I can't even imagine the team with Mishkov on it, along with Demidov. So I mean, yeah, we can go back and forth with that point. It's not Mishkov love, really. I don't really care either way about the guy. I just know one thing: he's a hell of a hockey player, and he's going to make an impact on the NHL for a long time. And he's shown it already in his first year on a bad team. I can't even imagine what he would look like with Demidov and Slavkovsky. And can you imagine that power play? Caulfield, Suzuki, Slavkovsky, Mishkov, and Demidov. Okay, let one of them sit down and go to the second power play unit. But either way, it would be phenomenal because we do play 2 power play units when we do have a power play. So it's just to me a no brainer, and you can swap them all out, and this would get rid of Laine for sure. We wouldn't have needed him at all. We wouldn't have got him, and I hope we get rid of him this year. Everybody touts Laine as this big phenom. Oh, you got 20 goals. Well, 14 or 50 number, whatever, were power play goals. And who's to say that our other buddy, Cole Caulfield, wouldn't have picked up those goals, or Demidov? Caulfield had 37 goals this year, and he was scoring from that position that Laine got all his goals from before Laine got there. So he would have picked up probably a lot of the goals Laine got anyway. So, that's why I like Mishkov, right or wrong, and people can argue with me. That's fine. But, I think that if Habs had to do it over again, they just may pick Mishkov and knew what they know now that he got over here and he's playing. I mean, come on. How can you not want this guy on your team? Okay, afternoon, Paul. 881 Slick. Hope your co-host as well. Tell him we're thinking of him. Thank you so much, 881 Slick. Um, yeah, we always are thinking about him, and we miss him on the show. He'll be back. He said he might be back next week. I talked to him this morning. He said he might be back next week. So hopefully he is. He brings a different angle to this whole thing. At Vince Odo, it's Sunday at 7 p.m. with 9 minutes left in the game, the Rockets game he was watching. It's 5-0. Go Rockets, go! And yeah, that was a fantastic game. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But the Rockets move on to play the Charlotte. The heck is that Charlotte? That Charlotte's team name? Charlotte Checkers. And we'll see how they do against the Charlotte Checkers. They start that game tonight, actually, so I'm going to be watching that for sure. Well, that was a nice win, 5-0. I'll talk a little bit about it later in the show. And at Vinny Houdon, I have trivia on pause before you even name the team Habs did not beat. So we gave you a list of teams that Habs beat to get into the playoffs and win the Stanley Cup in 1993, and we asked, which of the 4 teams I gave you did the Habs not have to beat to get there? And the correct answer was the Rangers, because they had to go through Quebec, Buffalo, Islanders, and Kings to win the Cup. And the Rangers were in there, and unfortunately for the Rangers, they didn't make the playoffs that year. So that was the correct answer to my trivia. And Vinny was right on. He had it nailed. He had it nailed. So good for you, Vinny. Way to go. You're good at this trivia. I don't think I stump you very often. Sometimes with the way older stuff, but not too often do I stump you. And myself, I stump myself all the time. I learn as we go along like everybody else. And today, of course, the answer was Ken Dryden to 2, who was the last rookie on the Montreal Canadiens to win the Calder. Okay, so thank you very much for your comments, everybody. Always enjoy them. Always good comments, and I like when people challenge me. Vinny, congratulations on challenging that. I know Reinbacher is probably going to be a big part of the team. He's not proven yet, but I anticipate he will be. Ken Hughes hasn't gone too wrong with a lot of his picks here. Especially the big pick, Slavkovsky over Shane Wright. He was bang on the money with that. Slav's going to be a force for Montreal for a long time. So we have faith in Hughes. We definitely have faith in Hughes. Now, speaking of the Laval Rocket, I don't know if everybody's been watching the Rocket hockey. I watch them on RDS. But they are fun to watch. They got a really good team, and they're fun to watch. Their series on the line was on the line last, I think it was Sunday, against the Rochester Americans. The Rocket entertained their fans at home with a spectacular 5-0 win to clinch the series with the Rochester Americans. And you know what? Caden Primo delivered a shutout. And, I just don't get Vincent. As a matter of fact, I don't get any Habs coaches in the organization, Vincent or St. Louis, when it comes to goaltending. For some reason, they make this a lot tougher than it is. Go with your hot goaltender. Why play hunches? And we saw it. Fowler comes up. He wins. He wins another one. Then Primo comes back. They put Primo in. He loses. Fowler comes in. He wins. It runs out with that series. Then they get to the next series, and they put Primo in, and then they put Fowler in. All of a sudden, he loses a game. And Primo's playing good. He won the first game. I think it was like 5-4, but he won. And they put Fowler in the next, we lose. Then they put Primo back in. And, if a goalie's winning, why pull him out and put another guy in? For what? For what reason? I mean, Primo's proven that he can play. But, you don't bring him in after he hasn't played for 2 weeks and drop him in when you got Fowler who's winning games. There's a time that Primo's going to go back in. And that's if Fowler falters. Fowler falters. Try to say that. But until then, I mean, if Fowler's going to continue to win games, why take out a winning goalie? And then once Primo gets back in, if he plays great, you leave him in. Throwing these guys back and forth. Now, I'm hoping Primo starts to see the series against the Charlotte Checkers and he stays there. And we saw St. Louis doing that this year with our goalies. At first, he was rotating 3 goalies last year. And then we got the 2 goalies here. And now Montembeault and Dobish, or Primo. Primo sucked the big one. They put him back down in the AHL where he ran a record to the end of the season of 22-2. And he was alternating Dobish with Thing. Dobish wins his first 5 games and Montembeault's hurt, something like that. And then all of a sudden they put Dobish back in. And he didn't play that well. Instead of leaving him in, he's the hot goaltender. Put Sammy in, and back and forth. And Sammy got his legs back, and then they pull him. I can understand putting Dobish in when there's back-to-back games and games because he's got to get ice time. But at the end of the day, you go with your hot goalie instead of trying to keep them all wheeling around. I mean, nobody gets sharp. Dobish hasn't played in 5 or 6 games, and they're going to put him in and expect him to win. I mean, that's tough. Yeah, go with your hot goalie. So, Barboulay, Farrell, Kandata, Waugh, and Kapanen did the honors as far as the goals went. 5-0 game. And now the Rocket move on to take on the Charlotte Checkers with a trip to the Calder Cup final on the line in that series. The best of 7 kicks off tonight. I'm going to be watching it, and we'll see what happens. The series works in a 2-3-2 format, so we play 2 in Laval, 3 in Charlotte, and 2 back in Laval. So watch that game tonight. I don't care about the other teams in the playoffs, to be honest with you. If HABS aren't there, I don't have a lot of interest. And a lot of people don't because ratings are supposed to be way down. So we got some important dates for the HABS coming up. The season may be over, but the excitement continues to build for the HABS as they search the UFA market for a second-line center. Hughes' MO over the last years has been to do nothing during the free market agency or free agent market. And I don't know if you remember, but I don't remember Hughes picking up really anybody of consequence anyway in the free agent market. He does a lot of his work before that starts. He does a lot of his work before the draft starts. He does a lot of his work after that ends. But during it, I'm kind of glad because at the end of the day, we see a lot of players who are not that great getting these outrageous contracts. Because it's free agency, everybody's scrambling. They want to pick up some good players. They don't want to be left out in the cold. So they usually tend to offer more than the players are worth. And then there's that regret for signing these players to longer-term contracts and that kind of thing. So when it's all said and done, this isn't something Hughes usually does. So do I expect a lot of that this year? No, I don't expect a lot of that. Hughes isn't going to overpay for a player. Anyway, not long-term anyway. I mean, he'll take a flyer on somebody like we saw with Laine. He took a flyer on Laine. The guy's $8.5 million or whatever he gets paid. And he was supposed to be this phenom. Well, we got 20 goals out of him. Not bad. I mean, not $8.5 million worth. And he's a terrible 5-on-5 player. He's terrible up and down the ice. And he's a fragile guy. Fragile physically and fragile mentally. He's not a guy I would keep around. And if I could get rid of him, I would do it right away. He hasn't worked out. Right? Regrets, I've had a few. But at the end of the day, we got him, and if we have to keep him next year, he'll probably get played, and he'll probably, score 20 goals. But if we can get somebody else, I'd be happier. I just don't like the way he is. I just don't like the way the guy is. So this year we have so many prospects to upload. I mean, we've got guys sitting in Laval that are NHL ready. They can come up. They played on Montreal before. They can come up and fill in. And eventually we have to unload them. We have to get them on the team. and filter out the ones that just aren't good enough and get the ones that are good enough on the team. And that would be moving some of our players like Dvorak and Armia and guys like that eventually. Although rumor is that Armia is going to sign. If he hasn't already, I don't think he has, but he might have. But he's looking $2.5 million or something. Nothing outrageous. Which the guy's a great penalty kill specialist. Him and Evans work really well together. Dvorak, he could take a hike. But we have 12 more draft picks this year. We had 11. We got about 33 in the last 3 years. Now we got 12 more. I mean, we've got all these players sitting out there, and they've all got to be brought up. I mean, it's a chore. Like, who do we bring up? Who do we leave out? We don't know. We have so many. We really don't need any more, right? We need specific ones, like a big center for the second line. But even if we get that at 16 or 17, they're not going to be NHL ready. They're not going to be up this year or next year, or maybe even the next year after that. So I would rather trade 16 and 17 in a deal with, I don't know, another player maybe. And I would rather pick up somebody who's NHL ready, already playing in the groove of our players, like nobody 37 years old. We don't want old guys. We wanted somebody around 27, 28, a proven center, has been in the NHL, big guy, and he can take on this task that we need him for. And he's going to be around for when we win the Stanley Cup in 2 or 3 years. That's what we want. We want to sign him for, a good term, and we want him there playing that second line center position. So I would be willing to trade our draft picks. We don't need them. We got so many now, we can't even deal with the ones we got now. So the names that are still out there right now, and that could be possible. Sam Bennett, Brock Nelson, a little bit old. We can't give him a long contract. He'd only be good for a year or two. Sammy Bennett, Matt Duchene, another guy who's a little bit old. We don't want him around too long. Mason McTavish on an offer sheet. We'd have to offer sheet him, and Bo Horvath. So these guys are some of the guys that we could look at. And there's others out there. Hughes knows them way better than I do. And everybody's naming all these guys. They're going to these teams, this guy, that guy, UFA. Listen, Ute, right? I'm telling you, you've got to, you cannot predict what Hughes is going to do. Expect the unexpected. ETU, expect the unexpected. That's what we got to do, ETU. And that's what we're going to see here. I think it's going to be a surprise what he picks when it's all said and done. There's a lot of people predicting a lot of things. I've heard the same guys as they predicted last year. I've heard a bunch of other guys, Crosby. I've heard all kinds out there. There's so many different players out there. But I think Hughes is a little bit more focused on winning the cup in the next 2 or 3 years. I think that's where he's at. And he's only going to get a player that can help us do that. He's not going to just pick up some guy to fill in the space. We don't need it. We got guys who can fill in spaces. And I'd rather give them ice time and get them NHL ready than give it to some geezer who's not going to be around at the end of the day, right? That makes more sense. Like a guy like Florian Xhekaj, who's having a phenomenal year, and he's just a force. He's a force like his brother is. And we don't want to get rid of his brother neither. I know there's a lot of rumors. We don't want to get him. We need guys like that because we saw what happened in the playoffs when our players got ragdolled. We need guys that can step in and take care of business, that they know are going to take care of business. We saw Tom Wilson running wild. Hey, we know better than that. We need Xhekaj in the lineup, and we need some more tough guys like that. Grinders, but who can score points. Guys like Wilson, who actually got, 25, 30 goals or something. I mean, Wilson had a good year. He's a tough guy, and he goes around bashing everybody, but he also can put the puck in the net, so there's that. So important dates coming up. NHL Draft, June 27th. We're going to be looking into 12 draft picks, including number 16 and 17 in the first round. And like I say, A2, expect the unexpected from Hughes. I wouldn't be surprised if he traded both of those either to move up or to get a player that's already ready to go. And the team that we get him from needs picks. They need picks, and we've got the first round picks. The awards ceremony, of course, coming up where we can celebrate. We'll all be celebrating Lane Hudson getting the Rookie of the Year. Then we got the free agency on July 1st, which I'll be watching outside, guaranteed. Prospect Challenge. Training camp at the end of September. Exhibition games start September 30th against the Senators, as far as I can see. And then, of course, we get to the regular season schedule, which starts in the first week of October, usually around the first or second week of October. And we usually pit ourselves against the Leafs. So those are the big dates coming up. Some prospects that we're looking at for 16 and 17. And these are just picks that have come from guys like McKenzie and Craig Button and that. And the ones that we're interested in, of course, would be bigger ones, bigger guys. Justin Carbonneau. Somebody's been talked about a lot that may be available at 16 or 17 if we decide to keep that. Although trade unexpected from Hughes, he might try to move up to get somebody. Lyndon Lakovic from Kelowna, BC, 6'4", 190 pounds, 18 years old, forward. Justin Carbonneau's the right wing. Logan Hensler, NCAA player, 6'2", right-hand defenseman. Jack Nesbitt, 6'4", 185, center for the Spitfires. And Malcolm Spence, 5. I got it written down 5'3", 201, but he's probably 6'3", 201, and he's a left winger. So we got some big guys out there that we can pick up 16 to 17 that should be available. I don't think this year's draft is as deep as the one that's going to be happening next year. And so, Hughes might move up to pick somebody, or he might just trade him away to pick somebody. That seems to be his MO. He did that kind of thing with Newhook and Doc, and I don't see him doing anything different. We will have openings on the team, and we do have to upload some players. So these guys won't be around for 3 or 4 years anyway. Time to get through the junior seasons, get to the Laval Rocket for a year, and then be brought up if we need them. We won't see them for 3 or 4 years, maybe 2 or 3 years if they're really good. So that's basically where we're at with all these free agents. Now, I've seen a lot of names bandied around. Nicholas Ehlers, there's so many names. Lafreniere, I've seen his name bandied around as we're going to get Lafreniere. We've got people who are dissatisfied with the teams that they're on. We've got draft picks who may not sign a contract with the team because they don't want to go to that team. They'd rather go somewhere else. So there's a lot of rumors floating around. Let's put it that way. And if you go to any shows, you're going to hear these guys talking about the rumors and everything else. You're going to hear that all the time. But at the end of the day, that's just what they are. I guess it's our job to go out there and figure out who Hughes is going to pick. Well, we tried to do that. And it's very, very hard because Hughes, he runs on his own thought process of how he picks players. He's got a plan. He knows how he's going to get to the goal he has for winning the Stanley Cup. And there's players that fit into that, and there's players that don't. He has a good relationship with the Rangers. So guys like Zibanejad, Trocheck, they're out there. They may be available. He may be able to work a deal with them. We don't know. But one thing we do know is he is well aware of the deficiencies of the Montreal Canadiens, and he's going to address them like he has already. He's already addressed a lot of deficiencies with players that he's picked. Demidov being one of the great ones. And we're going to see him next year, and he's going to produce like crazy. So we've got a great thing going on next year. We've got to augment it with his picks. He knows what he wants. For me, it's almost impossible to predict. I don't know what he's going to do. He's just out there looking. He's got good scouts. They're all over the place. They're looking at players in Europe and that we could see those players come over. There's a couple of guys over there I've talked about before that may be on their way over. There's a lot out there for the Montreal Canadiens, and we already have a lot. So you have to just stay tuned to this one. This is going to be an ongoing process until we hit the draft, see what happens at the draft, and then we hit free agency, see what happens at free agency, because that's where we're going to set up the team for next year. And then training camp will decide which one of the ones that are on Laval are going to come up to replace guys that have gone, the UFAs that we're not going to re-sign in that, who's going to replace them. We have a lot of really good prospects down there that we brought in. Now they have to be onboarded. So other teams, you could probably say they're going to do this, they need that, they're going to pick up this guy. And these guys' names are all in the rumor mill. They're a little bit more predictable, maybe, just because of the situation they're in. Us, because of our situation with prospects, sometimes the best move is not making any move at all. Keeping our 16th and 17th, going through the draft with 10 more picks, and picking them up and picking the best that fill spots that we need, and we especially need more size. I really think we got to get a bit bigger. And yes, Vinny, you took me to task for Mishkov. But man, if there's a talent like that out there that we have a chance at, we've got to take that chance. I mean, look at Demidov. People thought that he wouldn't be over here, and he's over here now. He's ready to go next year. Drew Deeks had picked Demidov. I think John did too, and they were ecstatic when we picked him. And I don't get that excited because I want him to be here, proving that he can play in the NHL. I mean, we're talking about players who have never been in the NHL. They've never been on the smaller ice surface. They've never been subjected to the speed, quickness, cerebral, the smartness of the NHL players. They're very, very good. They're professionals, the best in the world. That's why it's a very small club. You think about it, 32 teams, they carry 23 players. You're looking at less than maybe 700 players that make it to the NHL from all over the world. So it's a small select club. They're very good at what they do. So these new players come over, and sometimes they work out and sometimes they don't. And when they don't, everybody gets mad, but it's not an easy thing to do. So Hughes is going to be very good at what he does. He's going to pick the right guys, and then we have to see if they pan out. We'll see if Ryan Bacher can make the team this year. He should. There's no reason he doesn't, but we have Logan Mailloux that's waiting to get on too. And we already have some good defensemen, and they're going to be there next year. So who do we keep in? Who do we get rid of? It's again, Savard dropped out, so there's one at least. Struble was in and out. His position could be at risk. And then we've got Matheson, who I don't think we're going to get rid of him. Although if something came up where somebody wanted him, he may go. And somebody may even want to trade Primo. Somebody may want Primo because of his performance. He hasn't performed on the Habs, but he's performed in the AHL. He's doing very good. And if he wins the Calder Cup, that is going to put a real big feather in his cap, and then Habs are going to have to make a decision. Can this guy come up and play, or can he? You want to give away a goaltender that won the Calder Cup. So, yeah, there's a lot to think about in the next few weeks. We're only a month away. We're just starting June come the weekend. So we're going to start seeing things happen as the playoffs end. And Hughes is looking. So we're going to have lots to report in the coming weeks. But, Ryan Bacher, I know Vinny says, this and that. But I got to wait. I got to wait till he's proven in the NHL. I got to wait. I mean, and we know Mishkov's good to go. Now, the one guy I'm watching is a guy named Tyler Thorpe. 6'5", 220-pound right winger. He's playing in the WHL right now, but did manage to jump to the Rocket for a game this year. In 68 games, he had 52 points, and was a plus 11, 19 years old. Considering the Habs are looking for size, this kid kind of fits the bill. And it looks like he can score as well, which is phenomenal. Picked in round 5 at number 130 last year. Could this kid fit the bill down the road? Not sure, but I'll be watching him over the next year or so. See what happens. I want to see him at training camp, and if he gets invited to the prospects game, I want to see him there. Tyler Thorpe, big kid, right winger. We could use him. We could use him on the second line or even third line. We could use somebody like that. Especially if we're going to eventually decide what to do with Line A, because I don't think we should keep him. I think we should move him if we can. I know we probably can't at his salary, just too expensive at 8.5 million. But at the end of the day, he's going after next year anyway. So we're starting to sign some of these guys to contracts, entry level contracts that we got, and we're uploading them to Laval. Some guys from Laval are going to get traded. They're going to get sent somewhere else, or they're going to get set up to the big club. So yeah, lots going on with those guys as well. But Tyler Thorpe, he's the guy to watch. I think he played for the Vancouver Giants, didn't he? Something like that. Yeah. So he's the guy to watch. And that's it, my friends. I'm done. You got to go and look for more players to talk about. But like I say, it's ETU. Expect the unexpected from our buddy Hughes. It's very, very hard to sit here and predict what he's going to do. But you can have faith in him. He knows what he's doing. He's built a team. We made the playoffs this year, which exceeded most people's expectations, met mine. And hey, we didn't get through the first round, but we played good enough to make it possible with a few tweaks. So have faith. Have faith, everybody. Have faith. We're there. We're almost there. We've waited a long time. We're almost there. We're going to have a Rookie of the Year. First time in 53 years. And the next thing we're going to have is a cup, which will be the first time in, probably about 25 or 26 years. And that's while the Leafs flounder. They're not going to have a cup. We're going to have a cup before they do. But I think the next Canadian team that might have a cup would be the Edmonton Oilers. They're looking pretty darn good. My name is Paul Killamere. This is HABSOLUTELY coming to you live from downtown Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. Hey, subscribe to the channel. Give us a thumbs up. Leave some comments. Vinny always leaves comments. Leave some comments for us. We'll talk about them on the air. Give us your opinion. Who do you think the Habs are going to take? I mean, there's a lot of people out there, a lot of predictions. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Support the channel. Subscribe. It costs nothing to subscribe. You get notifications when I drop a video. And this video should be on for all you listening in the radio land. Should be on by before 3 o'clock, I'm hoping today, because we're going to get out of here a little bit early. And we'll get it done and we'll get it up and running. We're also now on Rumble and X. So if you don't catch the show on YouTube, you can catch it on Rumble. You can catch it on X. We've invaded Rumble and X for our social media platforms. So check it out. Have a good time. Subscribe. Thumbs up. Let's go. Go Habs, go. Watch that Rocket game tonight. Watch it tonight. I'm watching that opening game. I guarantee you I will. God bless you all. We will talk to you next week on HABSOLUTELY. John should be back. Things are going right. Let's put it that way. Au revoir, mon ami.